Let's get on to the finance of all of this. Sky News Business Editor Ross Greenwood joins us. Ross, what does the rate cut mean for the fight against inflation? Because we're going to go into an election where presumably both sides of politics are going to start throwing money around. Is that going to be a problem for Michelle Bullock?
Well, largely it will be, but the only thing will be is, of course, those promises won't kick in until well after the election, so that won't be so much of an issue. The question is going to be what Australians do with this extra money. So you talk about the extra money, and certainly Andrew spoke about that there. So $1 million mortgage, basically $154 a month. If you've got a $750,000 mortgage, $115 a month. But there's one other little thing that people need to understand is that when interest rates rise, banks increase your repayments. But when interest rates fall, most banks do not cut your repayments. What they expect you to do is to basically start to pay off a bit more of your mortgage, to get ahead with your mortgage, and they keep your repayments where they were. Now, if most people just sit and swallow that up and go, all right, well, that's okay, we'll just, wear the payments as they are. But if the cost of living crisis is real and families actually say, no, I need that money, and they go and change their repayments by ringing their bank or their lender and basically get that cut off, then it's what they do with the money. Is it that it goes to help to pay for the electricity bill, or as Andrew said, help to pay for the insurance premiums? So these things become important because that money then goes back into the economy. But there's one other aspect of this, and that is that's wages claims that are massive in Australia right now. And if ever there is a wages price spiral that goes on in Australia that continues to fuel inflation, it is the wages claims that are coming from the unions right now. And you can see in New South Wales, train drivers, others coming out there in key areas, but it's also public servants that are really pushing for more wages. And what the government's going to be very careful of, the current government, is they keep celebrating that real wages are basically ahead of inflation. And that's okay for a while, but at some stage, that also starts to feed into future interest rates. Now, money markets right now, Steve, they're pricing in at least another 2 interest rate cuts this year. But Michelle Bullock was very keen to note, actually, there is a scenario by where if we get things wrong here, we might have to raise interest rates again. And that really would be bad for the Reserve Bank's credibility, but also, quite clearly, very bad for Australia's economy as well.
Just into the weeds on the actual practicality of your loan. I mean, I saw your discussion this afternoon. You actually have to contact the bank and say, OK, we're very happy that you've said you're going to pass this on. Can you pass it on to me, onto my loan, because I need the money? You have to actually do that.
You do. You have to. And certainly with the Commonwealth, National Australia Bank, I think, is the same. You have to ring up. So, it's not an automatic thing. And it goes all the way back, because I can remember paying, 17.5% on a mortgage back in the early 90s with the recession we had to have. And I can remember I largely paid off a big wedge of a mortgage at that time because I was going okay and I didn't actually need to cut my mortgage repayments as many other people literally had to go and beg their banks to do. Well, the same thing happens today. They're a bit more lenient in terms of trying to cut you some slack. And as the Commonwealth Bank has said, most people are way ahead with their mortgages anyway. And so really there shouldn't be any real issue. But this means, as even Andrew said, when the Reserve Bank's considering this, just because the government comes and says, we've defeated inflation, inflation's coming down, look, we've now got an interest rate cut. The reality is when you walk into the supermarket this weekend, when you walk into your market this weekend, when you get your next telecommunications bill, when you get your next insurance bill, you'll sit there and go, well, you look at the price of this. Your energy bill will be the other one. Prices aren't coming down as such. Prices are just not rising as fast as they were previously. So the cost of living crisis is not easily overcome for many Australian families that will still be feeling it when they go to the polls.
Yeah, great work, Ross. Thank you very much for that. That's Ross Greenwood.